Now, Gary Keller is the he's
Curtis
no
Lee.
longer, yeah, Gary Keller is Curtis Lee. Gary Keller is he's not a CEO anymore. Founder of Keller Williams. That's what he's called now. He's no longer the CEO. He's the executive chairman of KWX, which is the Keller Williams holding company that has more than just a real estate company. Now they're into title. Now they're into lending. They're into a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're looking for a measured response, you won't find it from Gary Keller. He's usually staunch one way or the other. All right. So this is his quote. Never before in history has who you're in business with been a vote for the future of the industry, Keller said, while appearing with Jason Abrams, Keller's vice president of industry, and Jay Papazan, Keller Williams vice president of learning. Quote, if you write a check to Zillow, you're voting for a Zillow world, Keller said. If you write a check to Keller Williams, you're voting for a Keller Williams world. Okay, so they see themselves as the top direct competitor of Zillow, and Keller Williams does have now a 10% market share over the US, and that is a lot. Quote, this is a fight. There's no way around it. Let me get to another quote. If they added a lockbox to that, that would be the end of that, Keller said. It would be it. I could find a home. I could make an appointment. I could go see it. I can get inside it. All right. So y'all can see more comments on this from Inman's article. Just having a website with listing in it isn't going to have to be the entire transaction. He's kind of talking about the history of Zillow. What's really interesting to me on this, and I think it's disingenuous to say that Keller Williams didn't have a part in Zillow's growth. When I went to Keller Williams conferences and Zillow had a booth there and was paying Gary Keller to be there and covering part of the sponsorship of the Keller Williams conference, and also had time on stage to speak and talk about what they're doing in the industry. So to say Keller Williams has no blame or fault and has always been against Zillow would be completely wrong.
Right.
You know, I think if you take a check from Zillow and then promote Zillow to all of your agents who now make up 10% of the industry, you're just as culpable as an agent who's using them to buy their database and generate leads. And I would say maybe even more culpable, because an agent that's giving money to Zillow and then Zillow's giving that agent Zillow's database, that seems like a fair exchange. But if you out of one side of your mouth say Zillow's evil, and then out the other side of your mouth take their check and put them on stage, come on. I mean, what are you doing? So, hey, this is amazing. We have a YouTube comment.
There you go.
Mario Flores. Hey guys, do you think real estate agents want a Zillow alternative and will use it? Currently building an alternative now. There you go. Mario's building his alternative. I think so, but I think the leader of alternatives would likely be CoStar, that also just acquired HomeSnap and is looking to acquire CoreLogic, which we'll get to at the end of the show. So I do think real estate agents are looking for an alternative, but I don't know that one. I mean, they made the big mistake by selling Realtor.com, right?
Leasing it. They still own it.
Right. And we'll see if they could ever get that back. But real estate boards and agents across the United States need to make a national search website with accurate data and linked straight to those real estate agents that have those properties listed and the companies that represent those properties, or there's no hope. Like, they have to do that within a year, or it's just going to be third parties all over the place.
It's completely imperative. It's completely imperative that this happens. And we've been talking about since day one on the show, pretty much. And the platform already exists. HAR does it. Houston area realtors, they already do it. They have their own platform that controls their own listings. And
And Zillow can't really get a foot in the Houston market very well because it's so well managed by the realtors who are doing their job and making sure consumers get the info. The old adage of like holding back the information so that the consumer can't have it, so they have to call you, is ridiculous and antiquated, and you need to get over yourself, especially if you're leading one of these boards and you feel that way. I mean, our board here locally, I can't get sale data in order to send my customers a comparative market analysis that's anything apart from the NAR RPR that I can't do automated. I can't do an automated comparative market analysis for you just to let you know what the crap is going on in your neighborhood, because our board says we're not going to send sale data. Why the heck not? Zillow's getting the sale data. Why
Right. They're
can't
getting
I,
it
as a
anyway.
real estate agent, utilize that sale data with whatever platform I want to inform the consumer? And
And
this
you
is the
pay
kind
dues
of
to get that
ridiculousness
data.
that, yes, and this is the kind of ridiculousness that will kill the boards, that will
Right.
kill the realtor long term. It's not Zillow, it's the realtors. It's the inadequacy of the accurate information that we claim to have, but we're putting it behind essentially a contact wall. Why not just give the info?
Why not
All
just
right,
give it? I mean, and this
soapbox.
isn't a new thing. Zillow didn't just jump into the market. What did they start? 2007, 2004? So they've been around a long time, and this isn't a new thing. So the data's already got out there. However they get it, whether or not they steal it, whether or not they get IDX feeds, whatever they do, but however they get the data, it's already out there. That's how consumers are searching now. There's no platform other than HAR that we know of that has it where it's consumer facing, and
Right.
we use a company called Boomtown, and they have a mobile app now that I send to all my clients that are looking for homes. And it's pretty good, but it's still nowhere near. I mean, you got to think about it. It's 15 years behind Zillow and Trulia and Redfin. And so that user friendliness is just not there. So that's why I need to go back to say it is imperative that and all the data is ours, right? That's all of our brokers' data. When we get a listing, that data or that listing is our broker's data. And then when we put it in the MLS, then it goes out to our local board and so on and out to all the different websites. But imagine if we controlled it. We were the one spot that it came from and we were public facing. It would be
Yeah.
a win-win on both sides. So instead of, and I don't know what Gary Keller, and I know that I'm offending Curtis at this point, so I'm just going to keep calling him Gary Keller. What I don't know what he's saying. Who's paying? Which specific thing he's asking, Ray?
Who pays for that?
What pays for that? But our dues pay for that. I just re-upped my dues, and it costs me about $1,000 a year, and that's dues that go to NAR, that dues that go to my local board, and then covers a bunch of other stuff. But instead of all these commercials and stuff, what if we had commercials and a website that all went together, and that explained who we quote unquote are, instead of a commercial with a bunch of funny buyers in it doing weird things that doesn't really help us. It makes us look like we're trying to keep up with Old Spice as far as their commercial games go. You know what I mean? Like,
So
I don't know.
Christian Harris,
I think we have a lot of opportunity right here, but it needs to happen now.
Christian Harris has a point that we kind of brought up last week when we said, is it okay to even talk about Zillow? He says, I love when people try to use the NAR code of ethics to stifle free speech and opinion and analysis of Zillow acquisition, as if it ever stopped others from poo-pooing on alternative business models like EXP. Yes,
Well, EXP.
That was the exact example that we used last week too.
Yeah.
Because and even like people that talk about Keller Williams' business model, it's stupid to be able to not talk about a business model. You could talk about a business model, but maybe
100%.
talking about how they do business as far as ethically, that should be poo-pooed. Michael Elizabeth Rodell said, well, no one wants to take credit for being the Frankenstein. They want to keep the focus on fighting the monster, quote, together, and hope you forget who is creating it. That's exactly what.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
Mike is good. Mike is really
yeah,
good.
I like that, Mike. Mario Flores, it's going to be agent friendly. That's good. Guide buyers throughout the transaction. Lender agents online would love to talk if we can. Hey, send me a message and I'll take a look at it. And but don't be upset when I tell you all the reasons it stinks. But I would tell you those reasons it stinks in hopes that you could make it
to better it. It's
I
constructive.
actually analyze a lot of software for people. I do a lot of trials, and then I send them my notes, and they say, "Okay, this gives us some notes." So I'd be happy to do that. Ramsey Stewart, he says it's overused, but agents have to start showing value. Each transaction should be given appropriate value. Agents together, regardless of where you fly your flag, have to show value together. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I think. The part of the value needs to be providing that information to the public.